Hey, millionaire! Can you imagine waking up on a random day and learning you've somehow made millions of dollars? Wouldn't that be a dream? All of your problems would be solved, and you'd never have to worry about money again. That might sound impossible to you, and it usually is. While most millionaires have worked day and night to reach that status, some people have found ways to go against the grain, whether by sheer luck or pure genius. Here are 10 people who woke up dumb rich. Number 1 will shock you. Number 10. Motilal Prajapati's diamond. Imagine working the same job for years. Now make those decades. By that point, anyone would be sick of what they have to do. Well, Motilal Prajapati's family worked as daily wage laborers at the same digging job for 3 generations. Reportedly, the district of Panna in India is supposed to have diamond reserves of 1.2 million carats. Hoping to cash in on this, the Prajapati family had been leasing diamond mines in the area, and for 3 generations, they found nothing. Debts had kept piling up over the years until the family was drowning in them. Motilal himself owed a debt worth $500,000 Indian rupees. For a laborer, that would have been almost impossible. But luck was finally on their side. In 2018, after a lifetime of back-breaking labor when Motilal was 50, his efforts paid off because he found a diamond of 42.9 carats. The diamond was then sold at an auction for over 2.5 crore in Indian rupees, turning him into an instant millionaire. Motilal said he'll be using his money to support his family by getting his children into a great college, giving his parents a good life, and buying a house for all of them to live in. Now that's a purpose we can all get behind. Diwali that year must have been great. But even though Prajapati's luck only turned years after he hoped, for the next person on this list, success literally came crashing through the roof. Number 9. Joshua Hutagalong's meteorite. Working as a coffin maker in a village in Sumatra, Indonesia, Joshua Hutagalong was minding his own business in August 2020 when he heard a noise from above. Seconds later, there was a loud crash through his house. The object had broken through the metal roofing of Joshua's house and buried itself 6 inches in the ground. Whether it had fallen from the heavens or not, the event was terrifying. Joshua was understandably scared to check out what the unknown object was. Working his nerve up, he dug up the 2-carat rock from his floor. It was still warm at the time, and Joshua realized it might be a meteorite. News traveled throughout Indonesia and the world. Soon, American meteorite enthusiasts were on Joshua's doorstep, hoping to get their hands on the meteorite. A deal was struck, and Joshua's payday earned him millions in Indonesian rupiah. And this isn't all. He found 2 more pieces of the meteorite outside his home as well. Now that's divine intervention. But as far as becoming a millionaire by luck goes, you'll never get enough of the classic lottery winner millionaires. Number 8. Dave Gela, Lawnmower Man. Gela was working at Congrega Foods when he won the $365 million lottery back in 2006 in Nebraska. Back then, this was the biggest Powerball jackpot ever. Now that's a lifestyle change. Or not. Rather than buying diamonds and fancy cars, Gela decided to live the same life he always had lived, let alone a car. He even lived in the same house. He also worked the same job he already did, although he quit after some time. Can't blame him there. According to Gela, money should be spent wisely, and people should plan and work on investments, which probably makes him smarter than 90% of all lottery winners. He only moved out of his old home 5 years after he won the lottery. Today, Dave Gela lives a quiet, happy life. According to his attorney, all he wants to do now is travel and live the most comfortable life possible. For Dave, a big purchase would have been a new sweatshirt, which was probably what led him to be the only lottery winner's success story. Pretty much. See what happens when you're smart with your money and investments? 2 of his coworkers, who had won the jackpot along with him, ended up marrying each other. That's also a smart investment in its own way. Up next, we have another person who advocates being thrifty and thinking about the long run. However, his methods of becoming rich were a little different. Number 7. Marv Doniger's $1 million lawsuit. Sadly, doctors' negligence is not uncommon. Still, in a wild success story, Marvin Doniger managed to turn it into a $1 million payday. When Marvin went to his doctor citing bleeding when urinating, his doctor told him it was a kidney stone and that there was absolutely nothing to worry about. Not looking closely would turn out to be a very bad decision. 6 months later, Marvin had to get his bladder removed. He also had to start walking with a cane and urinating into a bag through his stomach. Understandably, he was angry. Taking the doctor to court, he won a lawsuit for $3.4 million. The circumstances that got him there were unfortunate, but it had paid off, and Doniger was an overnight millionaire. He immediately retired from his job as a management consultant for Fortune 500 companies and bought 2 poodles and a car. If you think these are small purchases for a newly made millionaire, it's because they are. Instead of spending his winnings on dumb, useless items, he started a trust fund for his children because he believes financial security is one of the most important things in the world. According to him, a person can either satisfy his short-term hunger and struggle later, or work on long-term goals and keep money in case a crisis comes. Doniger also published a book in 2009 called A Common Sense Approach to Successful Investing. A bit on the nose, but who else would know about the topic other than Marv? But while Marvin won his fortune through unfortunate events, this next person became a millionaire because of their genius invention. Number 6. Sandy Stein's money-making invention. Sandy Stein worked as an airline stewardess for 35 years before her luck turned around. Now that's a grind. But while being a flight attendant won't ever make anyone any big bucks, Sandy made it work for her. She noticed that women were always losing their keys in their purses. Bringing out her entrepreneurial spirit, Sandy decided to come up with a solution. She called the product Key Finder's Purse. Within 4 months, the company had already reached 1 million in sales. In 8 months, it had sold over 1 million units. And all of this began from a simple idea Stein had when she was 52. She started the company out of necessity after her husband lost his job, but she shows that it's never too late to start the journey and take the leap. Almost overnight, she'd gone from a stewardess struggling to pay rent and raise a 10-year-old son to a CEO who owns a Lexus and goes on world tours. It's been 17 years since Sandy started her journey, and she's still going strong. Can you hit subscribe faster than the guy in the next story became a millionaire? You have about 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Hopefully by subscribing to us, you'll learn just what it takes to get to the same success these people did. Now keep watching. You'll never guess the story that took our number 1 spot. Number 5. Rick Norsinigan, collector. Sometimes making a fortune just means being in the right place at the right time. Just ask Rick Norsinigan. Norsinigan used to be just another local painter in Fresno, California, who worked part-time as a construction worker. His passion for art led him to where he used to buy anything that caught his eye for his collection. Amateur artist or not, Norsinigan hit the jackpot when he managed to find treasure in a flea market of all places. When he bought a box of negatives in a garage sale, he had no idea what he had gotten his hands on. After researching, he began to suspect that the photographer might have been none other than the legendary Ansel Adams, who focused on nature photography. For a bargain of about 32 pounds, or $45, he had bought something worth $200 million. The man who had sold him the photographs was probably fuming, but then again, so was everyone else. After a nasty court battle between Norsinigan and the Ansel Adams Trust that ran for 2 years, Rick finally emerged victorious and walked away with financial freedom for the rest of his life. Now, finding your fortune at a garage sale of all places is absurd enough, but what happens when someone has been sitting on fortune their whole lives and had no idea about it? Number 4. Oscar Stoller's liquid gold. Oscar and Lorraine Stoller were just like any other farming couple. They lived a modest lifestyle in North Dakota. They were very skeptical when they were told there might be liquid gold underneath their farm. Oscar had lived on the farm his whole life, and the two were in their 80s, so the chance of finding fortune right where they lived sounded understandably absurd. Oscar even joked about it when the oil man came to drill there back in 2007, saying he'd buy a Cadillac convertible and put horns on the front. Oscar never ended up doing that. He still drives his old pickup truck, but now it's by choice. The discovery of not 1, but 2 oil wells on their land meant they could buy anything they wanted for the rest of their lives. But the old pair just liked their stuff too much to replace anything. Still, having millions in your bank account for your family to use is nothing to joke about. These two have their retirement funds covered with the easiest money ever made. But speaking of easy money, Someone else on this list was saved from a life of much harder work. Number 3. Jonathan Dumel's casino success. Life doesn't always take you where you want to go, but that doesn't mean you can't make a success out of your situation. Montreal resident Jonathan Dumel is a perfect example of this. Dumel had always wanted to become an all-star hockey player in the NHL. Instead, he discovered his talent at poker. He started playing with his friends in high school and would later drop out of Quebec University, where he studied finance, to focus on his professional poker career. His parents probably didn't like that a lot, but they wouldn't be complaining for long. When he was 23, Dumel won $9 million in prize money for winning the main event at the 2010 World Series of Poker in Las Vegas. He was the first Canadian to win the title. He'd also gone on to win multiple other titles at world tournaments, including a cash prize of $3 million. Now that's talent. But speaking of poker, the next entry on this list also made his fortune at a casino. Number 2. Kevin Lewis's double win. If one person becoming a millionaire overnight was absurd enough, what do you say to 2? When Kevin Lewis entered a $1 million draw at the Horseshoe Casino in Cincinnati, Ohio, he never expected to win. So imagine his shock when he heard that his name was being called out. Lewis went up on stage to get his prize money and was presented with one of those big ceremonial checks. And then another man came forward, also claiming to be Kevin Lewis. When the casino investigated, they found out that it was actually the second man who was supposed to be the winner. But instead of taking the prize back from the first guy, the casino decided to give both Kevin Lewis's checks for $1 million, making both instant millionaires. That sure was a good day to be named Kevin Lewis, but it seems all his luck had run out. When the wrong winner was arrested a year later on drug charges, he told the court that his $1 million fortune was all gone and that much was spent paying other people's bills. Spending over $1 million in less than a year is no easy feat. Still, Kevin Lewis proved that maybe having that much money isn't the solution for some winners. We're finally at number 1. Are you ready for it? This one will absolutely shock you. You'll never guess what's coming. Number 1. Sodeto. A quick Google search will reveal that Sodeto is a village in Spain. You might wonder what's happening or why a whole town is on this list. It's because, in Sodeto, everyone's a millionaire. In 2011, the small town struggled to stay on its feet in the face of Spain's economic crisis and severe drought. Every year, the town used to buy tickets to Spain's huge Christmas lottery, El Gorro, the fat one. Still, this time, some people were thinking of skipping out on it and only bought a ticket in loyalty to the Homemakers Association. That loyalty would pay off because when the numbers came in, it turned out that the whole town of 70 families had shared the win of $950 million. Well, all apart from just one. We sure wouldn't want to be that guy. Some residents walked away with a share of millions from the jackpot of all jackpots. Others, the seemingly less fortunate, won a minimum of $100,000. You heard that right, winning $100,000 was unfortunate in this situation, but regardless of the amount anyone won, it sure was the biggest turn of events that no one expected. The next year, the town would go back to buy even more tickets, hoping for a repeat of their luck from 2011. That didn't happen. Lightning doesn't strike the same place twice, after all. Still, even just one win makes them millions of dollars above almost everyone else. Because making a fortune is hard work. Whether it's backbreaking work for years before getting your lucky break because of a genius idea, pure talent, or just sheer dumb luck. But these people are proof that all it takes is one good day before you're set for life. If only you make sure not to spend it all in one place. Do you have any stories about people who became rich overnight? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, check out this one too.